on, come on. Clap your hands, all ye people. I will be the head, not the tail. Above, not beneath. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Turning around for me. I will be the head, not the tail. Above, not beneath. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Hey, it's turning around. Help me say, if a man be in Christ, he's a new creation. All things are past, behold, all things are new. Whom the Son set free is truly free indeed. What I'm going through is working out for me. Everybody help me say, if a whom the Son set free, what I'm going through is working out for me. I will be the head, not the tail. Above and not beneath. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Declare with me tonight. It's turning around for me. I will be the, I will be. No weapon formed against me. Turning around. I see everything turning around. Everybody's turning around. Come on, turning around, say. I see everything turning around. It's working in my favor. Turning around. One more time, come on. Say, I see everything turning around. Turning around. Turning around, say. Jehovah turned my life around. He turned my life around. Come on. Everybody say he makes a way. Jehovah turned my life around. He turned my life around. Everybody say he makes a way. Who has the final say? Can you be consistent? Is that possible? Yeah. Who has the final say? Jehovah turned my life around. He turned my life around. Everybody say he makes a way. Jehovah turned my life around. He turned my life around. Everybody say he makes a way. Say Jehovah. Everybody, Jehovah. Say Jehovah. Say Jehovah. I be you no say Jehovah na God. I be you no say Jehovah na God. I be you no hear them. I be them no tell you. Everybody say Jehovah na God. 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 Hey, Jehovah na God. Everybody, Jehovah na God. Come on, Jehovah na God. Hey, Jehovah na God. Jehovah na God. of the blood. Come on, there's no not like you. Into the darkness, say, into the darkness. Not like you. I got His greater, say, I got it. Awesome in power. I got His greater, say, I got His greater, say. God, you are higher. I got His healer. Awesome in power. I got. And if I got His, and if I got His for us. And if I got His for us. Then what can stand against? Say, then what can stand against? What can stand against? What can stand against? Hey, say, Jesus, oh yeah, Jesus. I bought it in the name of Jesus. Touch your man now. Me cheap a job for Jesus. And pipe what cheerful. Can I get some help in the house? Me free. Hey, say, hey, yeah. Everybody say,
Right, viewers, thank you so much for staying with us. This is iTalks, your inspirational talk show hosted by Bernard Asung. I'm particularly grateful to be here once again with your edition of iTalks tonight. And I'm particularly grateful to have my guest here right in our studios in the person of Melissa Titre. Is that right, Miss Melissa?
Melissa Titre, yes,
Titre,
that's correct.
right,
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
stuff,
so much for having me.
Yeah. It's good to have you. I mean, obviously, I know there's been quite a lot that is going on behind the scenes, but to get you to come on the show is quite a lot of appreciation that we need to give you for your ability to show up, and we are particularly grateful, and we thank you so much for the time that you have invested in our program. I'm so thrilled, and obviously it's been a roller coaster month, really, and precisely so that we basically doing things mainly from home, and we are in this situation at the moment, and I mean, obviously, it's going to be hard for a lot of people, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. This is where we really need resilience and perseverance and courage to push through these trialing times.
And obviously, the kids themselves, wouldn't necessarily understand the gravity of the situation. So, I mean, obviously, that brings us to the topic of discussion for tonight, which is going to be very, very important to a lot of parents to watch this show. And then if you're watching us, can I please ask you to share the broadcast with us, share to your platform, let somebody out there who need some form of ideas into how to inspire their children to develop their self-esteem, get some ideas from our guests tonight, who I'm going to kind of try as much as I can to pull out a lot of information from tonight. And then my guest tonight is also an early years improvement officer, and Miss Melissa, can you please tell us a little bit about what that encompasses?
Sure. So I'll just go in briefly about my previous experience and a little bit into my background. So
Right.
I am the founder of Designer Party Greater London, which is a children's party entertainment service. Now, you would not believe that this was just a childhood dream and vision that I carried in my rucksack as a young person, as a young teenager. I'm also the co-founder of the Designer Gift Service, and I have previously worked as an early years lecturer in further education. So in my current role that I'm in now, I currently work as an early years improvement officer. And as part of my role, what I do is I go into nursery settings and nursery settings within schools and inspect on the quality of safeguarding and the quality of learning and the quality of the curriculum in which is offered to the children.
Right.
So I'm very, very passionate about child development and child psychology because I really understand the impact of a child's childhood experiences on their future life chances, which is why I'm so passionate about educating parents and carers and also supporting aspiring and, current teachers within the education sector.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, the World Health Organization had made a research, I think somewhere last year, August 2020, and they come out to say that the next pandemic is going to be a mental health situation. And of course, we could see that kind of situation now creeping in gradually, even though we talk about mental health a lot. How is
Yes.
this situation, looking at it from childhood development? How is our situation now? You
Yeah.
know, how does it negatively impact the children we have in our
Yeah,
homes?
so there are many, many different factors which can affect a child's development, such as early childhood experiences, experiencing early trauma, child abuse, perhaps it could be the loss of a parent or even the loss of a pet, or sudden illness or illness of a family member. So there are many, many varying factors which can affect children's development. But in light of the pandemic, we can see that already that there is a significant rise in relation to mental health, even in terms of, if we think about adults, far less young children. And this period of time brings about a lot of uncertainty for young children. A lot of parents have now turned into schools and teachers. So really, as parents and as educators, we really need to focus on child and adolescent mental health.
So do you think that you've got the you've not talked about your book? You've got a book that
Yes,
is
yes,
written
which
and
is to
whilst
combat the rising figures.
absolutely and we talking about mental health and the negative impact it has on
Yes,
the child's ability to go to their fullest potential, and we look at
yes.
this lockdown situation at the moment. If you take your book on as a case study, or if you take the situation we face as a case study, can you align the components of your book that will try
Definitely.
to resonate with parents for them to actually um,
Yes.
grab the ideas that you have right on your chest?
Yes. Yes, most definitely. So in relation to current statistics in relation to child and adolescent mental health, by the age of 14, up to 70% of children develop a mental health need. Now, in the early years, based on research by well-renowned child development theorists, such as Erik Erikson, around the age of 2 years is a very crucial age and stage of development where parents really need to focus on confidence and resilience building in young children. So around the age of 2, children can either develop a good level of self-esteem and resilience or self-doubt and low resilience. So it's very, very important that as educators, we really focus on confidence building and resilience building right from the early stages in life, because confident and resilient children are more likely to be able to cope with times of adversity and times of challenge in day-to-day life and in adult life. So in relation to this storybook, like I said, all of my services are very much centered around safeguarding children's mental health and well-being, even in terms of my current profession. I've also set up a children's hospital community project, which again is in aid of safeguarding the mental health of children, parents and staff within the NHS. So what we used to do,
Go on. No.
So what we used to do, we used to go into, before the pandemic, our local children's hospitals to provide play therapy for the children who are sick on the wards. I'm sure you can just imagine the amount of anxiety and uncertainty being in hospital brings for a young child. Now, based on child development, when children experience the emotions of happiness and joy, this is a natural medicine in itself as the body releases endorphins. So we would go in and provide play therapy workshops, we'd bring in our mascots and entertainers and spread joy and happiness in the ward in aid of protecting and safeguarding children's mental health and well-being. Now, when the pandemic took place and when the lockdown occurred, I was no longer able to connect with my children and families. And I must admit, I was like, no, I can't no longer see my children. And I really strive on establishing a really close relationship and bond with all my children and families across all services. So I was like, right, what can I do? So I used some of the money that we had from our parties to get some of the staff to create worksheets to send to our children. And then the idea of writing a children's storybook came along. So I really spent time in deep reflection and thought, you know what, these children who, when I go into nurseries and inspect on the quality of safeguarding and education, and these children who we provide services for are the future generation. And we really need to work on building a more resilient future generation of world leaders, innovators, inventors, and entrepreneurs, which I will link in with all what we've been doing over the past few months. So I wrote this beautiful children's storybook called The My Invisible Superhero Vest, which is now available worldwide on Amazon and eBay. Now, this book heavily focuses on growth mindset training and is very much centered around safeguarding children's mental health and well-being. This book really focuses on confidence and resilience building. Each of the characters in this book, as you can see, reflect all different colors, races, and backgrounds, and heavily focuses on boosting the self-esteem of children around the world. So this book, in actual fact, is very much centered around safeguarding children's mental health. Now, it doesn't talk about the pandemic. It just, what this book does, as you can see, it's called The My Invisible Superhero Vest. So through the concept of superheroes, we challenge the conventional stereotype of a superhero. If you think about a superhero is kind, compassionate, strong, resilient, confident. So what we have done is we have challenged the conventional stereotype of a superhero by encouraging children to develop their own unique superhero powers and to consider how they can use the power of their unique talents and gifts or the power of their education to transform the world.
Wow. So I mean, that is quite a lot of information that you've put across there, and I would like us to break it down slightly, and then, you know, let's talk a little bit about mental health itself. Okay, and we'll talk also about the hospitals that you work with, in terms of support, where is it at and stuff like that, so that our viewers would also have an idea, if there's any form of support that they can offer you, then they would reach out to you. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about mental health itself.
So with my experience and my knowledge, I work in early years.
Right.
However, I previously worked as a FE lecturer.
Right.
So I worked with young people from the age of 16, teaching across all childcare programs. And a lot of these young people come into college and they have mental health needs and mental health concerns. And some of these issues stem back to sometimes a young person may be living in, poor or inadequate conditions, or perhaps they may be living with a family member who has a mental health issue. Some of these mental health needs occur as a result of bullying. So it's really, really important, or perhaps a trauma like losing a grandparent. And some of these issues manifest as behavior. We're taught in teaching and learning that behavior is communication. So again, it's about identifying what is the root and cause of these mental health needs and concerns. And we have to be brutally honest here. Life has its challenges, but if we build well-esteemed and confident young children and people, we will together fight and combat the rising significant figures in relation to child and adolescent mental health.
So with this kind of description of mental health, you know and your passion to help the young grow well, I mean, how does the formation of the hospital come in? Whereabouts is that hospital as well?
So we was providing play therapy workshops at Queen's and King George's Hospital.
Right.
So, for example, we was talking about factors that can affect children's development. Sometimes if a child has a terminal illness, if you think about, again, just like the pandemic, the uncertainty that that brings for a child, no longer being able to go to school, having to take medication. Even as adults, we get a little bit scared when we go into hospitals and see all different machinery, far less if a child has to undergo surgery. So again, this can cause children to go into a state of shock and period of anxiety, and also parents having to watch their children go through this process. So what we would do is go on to the wards to spread a little bit of joy and happiness and to encourage. So for example, we would hand out certificates and awards to the children for bravery. And, for example, we went in on Christmas Day last year and we handed out gifts on both wards at Queen's Hospital, and also went down to A&E. And the gratitude that was expressed by the parents was phenomenal. It made leaving our own families behind on Christmas Day to go and make a difference all the more worthwhile.
How has this pandemic itself? I mean, we are locked down. I know, we all do remote learning and teaching across the length and breadth of the country. And how is your agency, if I should put it that way, spearheading their affairs in this lockdown?
Okay, so for example, with the council, what we've been doing is supporting all of our settings with reviewing their risk assessments in relation to COVID policies and procedures to safeguard children and families' well-being. So that's their physical health and well-being. We are also currently working. So for example, within my role, I'm responsible for going into 150 settings across Redbridge to inspect, like I said, on the quality of safeguarding and the curriculum. So what we're doing is working with our settings individually in creating home learning packs that are sent via email to our children and families. And also we've been doing some, well, I personally haven't, but our settings have been doing some live Zoom sessions just to ensure that the pandemic and restrictions of being able to go into nursery doesn't have a significant impact on the children's learning progress and development.
So you send these packs to families, and how do you monitor them? Like, is it something is it easy for the kids to reach out because they see, what you offer, and then because they're in love with you, they just rush to do it? Or how do you monitor?
Well,
How do you? Assess the
So
learning.
I personally, with the settings in Redbridge, my role is not to deliver the home learning program.
Right.
My role is to ensure and to manage that settings are delivering home learning programs for the children and families who access their setting. But what I have done during this time is I have set up my own online academy in partnership with Heathcliff's. So what we have done is we have actually seen the potential within this storybook, and with the support of Heathcliff's, we have created our own curriculum, which
Right.
covers all of the core subjects that are covered in schools, such as mathematics, literacy, history, geography, and the list goes on. But what we have done is heavily embedded growth mindset training into this curriculum. So I am actually a character from the storybook called Super Mel, and I have been delivering and coordinating Zoom Superhero Academy workshops for children worldwide, for children in the UK, children in the US, children in Africa, and all parts of the world, and getting our children to collaborate on exciting projects. Again, putting them this to rich early learning and social experiences, even throughout the pandemic. For example, I've got two wonderful children. I've got Super Cassius from the UK and Super Jaden from Nigeria, who are working together to create a website for the Superhero Academy children. So they're actually doing coding and computing and creating their own computer games. So we're giving, the children enjoyable experiences, even amidst all of the chaos.
So you take a child, say at the age of 2 or 3. Is it an age range that you cater for?
So in my job role, I work up to the ages of age 5. But with the Superhero Academy, we work with children from age 5 upwards. So we cover Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, and we are also in the process of developing services for children with mental health needs.
Let me stop you right there so that I can bring you the question so that we would. So taking a child of 5, for example, what are some of the characteristics that you would see in the child when they're beginning to develop that positive growth mindset, that you would want parents to know? Because psychologically sometimes they exhibit some of these traits, and we might tend up to, maybe, for example, depending on the environment they're in, you might not want to. For example, if they start asking questions, some parents will say, keep quiet, or maybe don't say that.
Course, which is why it's important that parents understand child development. It's very, very important that parents understand child development and the ways in which children learn through trial and error and investigation. So I completely agree.
So can you, give us some, points? I mean,
sure,
characteristics.
Yes.
What are some of the things that parents should
Definitely. Like I said, very, very early on, based on child psychology, parents and educators can actually be the cause of low self-esteem and can actually begin to start the process for children developing mental health needs if children are not in a supportive environment, which is why it's very important that parents and educators understand the different ways in which children learn and grow. So, for example, if you want to know whether your child has a good level of self-esteem, so if we're thinking about a child who's at the age of 5, you will see that generally this child looks quite happy. They appear confident in the way that they behave, talk, and act. They are willing to give new experiences a go. You will see that that child displays an I can do attitude. So you will so from very, very early on, you can kind of tell whether your child has a good level of self-esteem or perhaps has low resilience. And it is the role of parents and educators to ensure that they are boosting children's self-esteem right from the early years by supporting children to learn through trial and error. So, for example, like I brought out about Erik Erikson and his theory at the start of our conversation. So what he states is that from the age of 2, children begin to develop self-esteem, but that's based on the interactions that they have with parents and educators. at this particular stage in relation to child development, children are at that stage where they're exploring through trial and error. So they're opening your cupboards, they're going in your drawers, they're turning things upside down, they're doing little things like trying to learn how to drink from a cup. Now, with parents, let's say we know at this stage, due to children's age and stage of development, they might make mistakes. So they might spill that cup. They might end up throwing something down off the bed. So, and if parents shout at the child or children are not designed to sit down and sit still. So if parents are telling children, sit down, be quiet, you are actually denting that child's self-esteem and stopping that child from exploring and learning about the world.
That would be a little bit interesting point, because honestly, you would definitely have, diverse, backgrounds, in terms of parenting and stuff like that.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Some parents, some parents would want their children to say, I said, sit over there, you have to sit. And then
and Bernard, I'll tell you something. Back when I worked in leadership in the early years, in my room, and I believe this should be the case in classrooms as well, I would not allow my practitioners to use the word no. What does no mean to a child? Could you imagine if you're in a learning environment, or if you're somewhere and an adult or a teacher's telling you every second, no, don't do this, no, stop that. What does no mean? Children need clear expectations. So when dealing with behavior, parents should be telling their children what they expect them to do. So instead, and there's other ways of disciplining children without using the word no. So for example, if you see your child standing on the chair instead of sitting on the chair, instead of saying, no, sit down, you could say, I would like to see you sitting nicely on your chair, please. So there's a way that you can use your tone of voice, your facial expression, and your body language to support you with using more positive behavior management reinforcement.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because I honestly, on a personal level, I try as much as I can not to even, just even to answer every single question when my students ask me, so ranging from all diverse of questions, it could be like,
that's how we learn.
So somebody would even ask me when they see a date on the board, they would ask me, say, is that a date on the right corner? I say, yes, that's the date. What's today's date? Do you know today's date? It's like, oh, okay. So am I supposed to write in the pen or pencil? So it's like,
I know, but at the same time, we do want children and young people to learn how to develop initiatives. So I understand what you're saying there about, it's like, gauging.
Yeah, but obviously you don't want to, get into that level of competition, like to really dent because I think that process is it's in them. It's just part of their process that would help them be able to even ask further questions, because when they get the answers, which it could be that maybe they're playing up or something, but I mean, obviously in your view, talking about them developing that initiative, because the more answers you give them, the more energy they get to ask you more, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it is needed. I would definitely say, even in my experience with training my team, which when I set up the Children's Party Entertainment Service, one of my main objectives was to create work for young people and to also teach and equip them with employability skills, because I see the strain in the workforce with young people not being able to perform specific tasks or being able to meet deadlines or using their initiative. So there needs to be a fine line and a balance, because we need to be thinking, right, we are preparing our children for the world. We want them to be independent learners, explorers. So, at the same time, we don't want to mollycoddle children, but at the same time, there needs to be a fine line between, discipline and denting children's self-esteem.
Absolutely. Let me take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll go to our viewers and see what kind of comments they have for you and if they have any questions. But before
and we've got a lot of exciting opportunities as well coming up, so which I'll tell them about, which I'm sure they will definitely want to get involved.
Absolutely. So bear with me. I'll be back in a second.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Right. So we welcome back into the show. And then, of course, I'm going to take a few comments that our viewers have shared with us. And thank you so much, Miss XD Gray. It's good to see you watching the show. Emmanuel R. Gray, Charles Kweku Odoy, my most reverend out in Manchester. I salute you for the great work you're doing out there.
Oh,
We love you here
thank
right
you.
at iTalks. They're all watching us out there. Gifty is watching.
Yes, so
Castro.
Gifty is one of my lovely old students.
Wow.
Um, you know, the day Gifty walked into the classroom, the day I read one of her first assignments, she was just one of the brightest sparks, just like all of my other students, but she really stood out. She really, really
Hmm.
stood out because she's so passionate about making a difference in the lives of young children. And I'm so glad to see how she's progressing. And she's also one of the characters in my storybook as
Well,
well.
we'll come to the
So it's nice
characters
that
in
she's
the
here
book. I mean,
watching.
for more elaboration on that.
Yeah,
But Lauren says that that's a worthwhile initiative. I think in reference to the various, things that you mentioned. Obviously, I mean,
yes,
it's mind-boggling. It's just
yeah,
incredible what you're doing. And then
thank you.
Gifty said about something about play therapy. I think that
Yes,
would resonate with you quite well. And
yes,
then of course, Reverend Charles Kwekuodoy says impressive work.
thank you.
Absolutely, we need to create rich and stimulating environment to ignite the curiosities of our children. Fantastic.
Definitely,
Fantastic,
definitely.
brilliant stuff. And then we've got says, "Wow, I'm not a parent yet, but uh, this is very informative for me. From where I come from, no is very common word to children, and children are very much suppressed, even in schools and at
Definitely.
home. This is an
Brilliant.
eye opener.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nana Amawua Eshen. So
Thank
we are
you.
particularly grateful to all of your comments and keep them coming. If you have any questions pertaining to the subject and discussion, we are more than happy to take your comments and your questions so that our guests can throw more insight into it. Okay, so our
Yes.
guest tonight is Miss Melissa Titre, and then we're talking about inspiring children, young children, to develop a self-esteem. Now,
Yes.
why those particular characters in the book?
Okay. So one of the main reasons is because I wanted children of all different colors, races, and backgrounds to be portrayed as positive role models in society. So we have superheroes from all around the world. I wanted a book that children from all around the world could identify with. They've also got disabled superhero characters as well in the book. Now, just linking in the book with a comment that someone's just made, I completely agree. The education system can sometimes stunt children's progress and development in many ways. I personally believe that the education system needs to be reformed. The education system can sometimes stunt children's creativity and their own individuality and unique talents and gifts. And this is something that I have experienced and witnessed in the education system. So what we have done through the Superhero Academy curriculum and this book, what this book and the curriculum work hand in hand to do is to raise the next generation of world leaders, innovators, inventors, frontline superheroes, and entrepreneurs. What we have done is we have brought back the fun into learning. For example, our Superhero Academy teachers focus heavily on boosting children's self-esteem and confidence. So we have created our own curriculum, which is, I actually feel that a lot of people who are watching today might want to get involved with some of our projects. What I'm doing in partnership with Heathcliff Ltd is we are going to be turning the Superhero Academy into a global franchise. So let's say if you want to open up your own early years setting, or you want to open up your own after school club or summer club provision, we will be supporting you in setting up this service because we want this mission to touch the lives of children across the world.
What
So we
about
will
what about
support
what
you.
about other I mean, already established, agencies, or should I just say, for example, churches as well, who have Case
Yes,
Kingdom, and
definitely.
how
Yes.
does that? Yeah.
So what we aim to do is we're going to have a subscription website. So you will have access to all your lesson plans, your curriculum resources, activity ideas and experiences. Or you could have me come in, or one of the other Superhero Academy teachers, and deliver a Superhero Academy workshop. Or we could work very closely with your Sunday school teachers in teaching them how to deliver this program. I also deliver trainings to the local authority on outstanding teaching and learning. So I would be more than happy to support churches across the United Kingdom in developing their Sunday school provisions, because I'm very passionate about touching the lives of children across the world and making a difference. We are raising the future generation, and we need a more resilient future generation of children who believe in the power and beauty of their dreams, and who can make a positive contribution to their communities, effect change, and also contribute effectively in the workforce, whether it be through their career or setting up a business or even coming up with an invention or innovation. I truly believe that every child is born with unique talents and gifts, and it is the role of parents and educators to fine-tune children's individual talents and to push them in those areas. So instead of parents focusing on what their children can't do, which of course is, if you identify your child, there's a gap in their learning, you need to work on supporting your child to progress in that area. But how about pushing your child in their areas of strength and helping them to reach their maximum potential?
In one of his speeches, Prince Harry made mention of the fact that schools should develop the courageousness, building children's resilience so that they'll be able to stand the test of time.
And it's funny how you say that, Bernard, because this book has been inspired by many influential people in the world, one of them being Nelson Mandela, one being Princess Diana. So the fact that you're bringing up Harry in this conversation is very inspiring.
Yeah, because when I listened to him talk at the time, and it was very inspiring. And he did mention that, and that is leading me to ask you, what are some of the ways that individuals could put in place to help build the resilience levels of children, giving them something, that they'll be out there without shivering or without wavering. They stand the test of time, even as they journey through the process of life.
Yeah, so I would say parents can do it just in day-to-day life. So, for example, as adults, we feel a range, even as a range of different emotions. Sometimes, the emotion of fright or anxiety. So it's about teaching children the coping mechanisms for when they are feeling a little bit frightened or scared or a little bit anxious about a situation, which is called growth training. So learning the skills.
Before you progress, I think there was a little bit of lagging over there. So that particular phrase did not come out well. So you said something about teaching children, the coping mechanisms. If you can continue from there.
So teaching children the coping mechanisms and skills with dealing with certain emotions, right, like when they feel frightened or scared or anxious, through growth mindset training. So, for example, even in the book, there are lines that say, taking on challenges is how we learn and grow. All superheroes are brave and courageous, even at times when things seem really outrageous. So again, like I said, teaching children the coping mechanisms in terms of how to control the mind at times when they may be feeling worry, fright, or anxiety. Generally in day-to-day play. So when your child's playing or your child's learning how to do their coat up, and your child, this might be being a little bit, I don't like to use this word lazy, but encouraging your child to keep on trying. So even through play and through day-to-day tasks, we can teach children resilience, that sometimes you're not going to get things right the first time, but you need to give this a go and you need to keep trying. Also, through acknowledging times when your child is giving perhaps a new experience or challenge a go and providing them with lots of praise to boost their self-esteem. So that's exactly what we do through the academy. And what I feel with school curriculums is that schools more focus on statistics rates. So it's about how many children pass SATs, GCSEs, pass their exams. But how about the holistic child? How about the inner child? Because, for example, I know many, many young people, and if you look at statistic rates in university, a lot of high flyers and students who are studying university degree programs, sometimes that's where they develop mental health needs because they cannot cope with the pressure of the education system and process in terms of trying to obtain
talking about pressure at this moment, and
Yeah.
you know, in our existence, we've seen, if by the end of May we would see two different cohorts of year groups that are having all end of year exams, but then we've managed to for better use of word, you know, giving them or awarded them with results based on what they have done in their mocks or in their, you know, day-to-day work at school and stuff like that. And we're talking about pressure and reforms. Do you think that the assessment process in terms of reforms can be shifted to a certain point? Because now we can see that we can do that for the kids to go through, because they still go through to sixth form and then progress from there and stuff like that. Or do you think that, you know, in terms of reforms, helping children to develop their self-esteem, certain examinations or assessments should be abolished?
I think personally assessments are needed, because how else will you assess that learner's comprehension and learning? What I do feel is that the assessment process could be adapted in some areas, but again, you know, can you imagine in terms of the examining bodies and the process, again, the pressures that would place on examining bodies. But for example, I know a lot of students who crumble before going to do a test because of, again, anxiety and the pressure of wanting to do well. So again, I do really feel that that is debatable, but I do believe that assessments are needed. Perhaps different assessment methods in relation to different course programs and subject areas could be developed. So for example, a more practical based assessment could be implemented. So I do agree. I actually agree. There could be many changes to the current education system.
Wow, fantastic. So let's look at the book once again, and then you bet this book out at the start of the COVID pandemic last year, and managed to put together and stuff like that. You know, I've got, before I come to that question, I've got a few comments here, and you know, it says that thanks for the offer to support Sunday schools. Hope you can get your details. You know, so
Definitely.
I mean, that's an offer right there for you.
Yes, we
Because
will support
you came on iTalks, and then of course, I mean, somebody is, you know, trying to push you to help their agenda and cause in their ministry, which is fantastic. And we've got oh my God, I don't like offering praises to myself, so please bear with me. The ones that, you know, mention my name, I don't really want to say. But,
you just scroll past them. They're trying to boost your confidence and
Absolutely,
self-esteem.
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so looking at it in its essence, and you know, inspiring, you know, young children to develop their self-esteem. We've talked about, you know, certain characteristics that we should be seeing in them, you know, possibly traits that we should see that these are the processes they're going through. And also you've looked at some aspect of stuff like you know, how, what mental health is in essence, you know, and all these stuff that we've talked about. And you know, coming back to the issue of you did mention something about the course you do online,
The online superhero academy. Yes.
Yes, so it's in line with your ethos of
Definitely.
helping to develop kids and stuff like that, and
Definitely.
with that particular one in mind, what actually is the means in which parents could reach out to you, to get hold of that? Is it already
Yes.
started or not?
Yes. So parents, please enroll your children. We are actually offering free superhero academy classes because as a service, we are gravely concerned about children's mental health and well-being. So like I said, we want to ensure that children still have access to rich social experiences throughout the lockdown. Our classes are not like your typical class. We start our lessons off with superhero size, some dancing for our younger children, and exercise. And then we settle down into our structured learning, which is delivered in a very highly interactive way. So if you want to book your children in, your superheroes in, and allow the Superhero Academy to bring out your child's superhero powers, you can email us at the Superhero Academy 1@gmail.com. Or you can follow, I'll show you the page so that everybody knows the logo.
The email is what? Let me just say that email again.
Sure. So it's the superhero.
Caps or just lower cases?
Lowercase.
The
superhero.
Okay.
Academy.
Okay.
1.
As in the number 1.
Yes. @gmail.com.
Okay.
And then you can also follow us on Facebook. That's the logo, and that's the Facebook page, the Superhero Academy, where you'll see this logo and the logo that's on the book. Now, if anybody is interested in terms of like setting up the early years provision, after school club, summer club, or wants us to support with the Sunday school learning programs, you can contact me directly on my contact number, which is 077 14947210, where you'll be supported by myself and Heathcliff's.
Can you take the number again?
So 077 14947210. Now, can I also just say that everybody, you are in the best hands. I have been recently appointed by Redbridge Council as a curriculum manager for the first Centre of Excellence in Redbridge, which will be turned into a teaching nursery. So this will be a nursery setting where teachers and early years educators can come to observe outstanding practice in teaching and learning. So when it comes to setting up your own provision, you are in very good hands. Also, Heathcliff's, they have a wide range of experience in supporting service startups. The director of Heathcliff's was also nominated as one enterprise educator for 2019, and was awarded with this award in the House of Lords. So you are in the best place.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Melissa. And what I want you to do for our listeners is to help us remember something from this conversation, from this podcast, whichever you want to put it, by outlining, the, should I say, steps, or should I say how we can develop, or how we can inspire the young child to develop his self-esteem. What are some of the points that you would outline out there, like something straight up that, like a plenary that, somebody can take home after going, they will just remember and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so what I would say is self-esteem and confidence building and resilience building starts off from within the home. It is the role of parents and educators, they start off with parents, to ensure that they heavily focus on boosting their children's self-esteem, confidence and resilience. So you really need to think of, as a parent, your behavior management strategies with your child. because you can easily make or break your child. Okay. Also, ensuring that you provide a supportive home environment for your child, where, number one, you create a warm emotional environment. I always say that the quality of the emotional environment is more important than the quality of the physical environment. So again, making sure that you provide a perfect emotional environment and allow your child the room and space to be a child, to explore, to, investigate, to learn through trial and error. Again, creating a strong bond and relationship with your child. Many theorists assert, like John Bowlby, that the quality of a child's first relationships in their life has a significant impact on the quality of relationships that they build in their adult life, and also impacts their self-esteem and self-confidence. So having a really good relationship with your child where they feel safe to talk about their insecurities or if something's worrying them, making sure that you're approachable. Then I would also say that as a child, my mother focused extensively on boosting my self-esteem and confidence. And like I said, many theorists assert that confident children go on to become successful adults in life. Confident children are also able to cope and bounce back after challenges and are also willing to take on new experiences. So, for example, I'd say I'm quite brave and courageous in terms of taking on new experiences, taking on challenges, in terms of how I've progressed in my career growth. So again, heavily focusing on boosting your child's confidence and self-esteem, and also providing your child with the rich access to extracurricular experiences where they can learn new skills. So for example, with the Superhero Academy, our children not only get a chance to socialize with other children in a rich learning environment, we also work on developing the children's leadership skills, team working skills, public speaking skills. So it might be perhaps parents accessing sports clubs and other recreational experiences for their children, which will boost their self-esteem and also help children to find out, to develop self-awareness. What are their interests? What are their passions? And also to push your children in their areas of strength, and to help your child to develop an I can do attitude, and they will be unstoppable.
Right. Thank you so much, Melissa, for the time here on iTalks. If you just tuned in, this is the Inspirational Talk Show hosted by Bernard Asung, and my guest tonight was Melissa Titre, and she is an early years improvement manager, and then has different variety of experience across the development of our young children, and she had also put in across her email and her phone number for parents who would like to reach out to her for further discussion and involvement in her projects. So
and also teachers who work in schools or head teachers who are interested in our programs.
Yep, absolutely. So schools, churches, and all sort of educational institutions that will be interested in her product or her expertise, I should put it that way, should reach out to her, and then it will be a worthwhile experience getting her expertise in all the areas of education pertaining to your children. We are particularly grateful, ma'am, for coming to our show, and then we thank you so much. We hope that when we call on you another time, it will be a lot of piles of book to come and talk about, and then obviously more initiatives like this we need in our communities, because we need as well to set the role model pace for our children to see as well, and then they can
and that's also another very, 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 very valid point before you go. Again, role modeling in front of children as well. So for example, when even as adults and as parents we're presented with a challenge, if we display going into anxiety or getting frustrated, children learn by observation. So in terms of resilience building, we need to be role models for the future generation.
Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you so much for
Okay,
coming.
thank
And
you.
then thank you so
That's
much,
okay.
viewers, for your time. We are particularly grateful for the um, time that you've shared with us. I mean, obviously, it's a Sunday evening, and then an hour sit behind the screens to watch something that we appreciate a lot. And continue to send your feedback, continue to reach out, continue to watch our shows, and then also you can watch this program on YouTube as well. And then we are particularly grateful that this program is also broadcasted on King's Jersey FM or radio in New Jersey as well. So we are particularly
Lovely.
grateful to Modern Ghana News as well for the feed that
Lovely.
they share for us. And we believe that we've reached across a lot of platforms, you know, and then we believe that as we journey through, you would be part of the process and then you would make the impact that we need. Thank you so much, Mom, for the time. And
Thank
thank you.
you.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.